I want to ask you about Juneteenth, James, but let's go on about the cat. The cat. What's going on in Wacademia? You can identify as a cat now, is this it?
Well, you can, and that's happening in schools in Australia, but it was a very interesting case in the UK this week when it came to light that a teacher attacked students who questioned this, who said, you can't identify as a cat, it's not legitimate, and she called them, the student, despicable, said you should go to a different school, sent her off to be punished, and all of this was recorded. So the student was smart enough to record this interaction, so you can actually get an insight of what's happening in classrooms. Have a listen.
There's only a boy and a girl today. There's no other private part. There's only two.
Gender is not linked to the parts that you were born with. Gender is about how you identify. How you identify. It's not an opinion that we express in this school. Yes, it is. No, it's not. And if you don't like it, you need to go to a different school.
Wow. You go to a different school, you're despicable. I mean, it was flat out bullying and intimidation and just idiocy from the teacher, because the teacher clearly...
the kids are smarter than the teacher. The kids are now smarter than the teachers.
Well, some of them are less brainwashed, but what was important there, if you listen to the whole clip, when the teacher kept attacking the student said, my mum will back me up. My mum agrees. Yeah. So you need to actually have these conversations in the home to equip your children with the knowledge and to give them the confidence to stand up for themselves. Otherwise, they're just going to be brainwashed with the rest of them.
Absolutely. And we've always said the parents and grandparents have to find out what is going on in these schools, because that is a classic example of the sort of stupidity that is being inflicted on our kids, James.
Oh, well, absolutely it is. I mean, you know, the thing is, I think that every parent, every grandparent out there who's got kids in school, primary school, high school, they need to tell their kids, Rita's absolutely right, if you get called into the principal's office, if you get pulled up for respectfully making arguments that are scientifically completely valid, i.e. that your classmate here can't identify as a cat and men can't have babies, then you get in trouble. We will back you. Your parents will back you. Tell the principals, give me a call. This is the thing that has to happen. But I just think that, you know, we've seen this in so many other cases. We saw this, you know, in England and in Canada. There were cases where Muslim kids were pushing back against a lot of the Pride Week stuff in classrooms. You've heard recordings of that. You've seen a lot of really interesting sort of fractures. And it all comes down, I think, to this real thing where people are very tolerant, but once you start, you know, forcing kids into these sorts of modes of expression and this discourse, people get very, very uncomfortable, and rightly so.
Well, it's hilarious. This we've been warning the regressive left that some of these alliances you've made are going to break apart. And one of the alliances was Islamists, not the Muslim community, but Islamists, people who are very tolerant to just gays, lesbians, not just the trans movement. And they were in that camp. And, of course, they are now fracturing in dramatic manner. So we saw footage in Canada of little Muslim children stomping on the pride flags and their mums in hijabs cheering them on because they're saying, we don't want any of this in the schools. We don't want any acknowledgement of any of this. And they came out and they said, oh, we feel betrayed. Well, why do you feel betrayed? Have you never been to a Muslim-majority country? Have you never been to a Muslim-majority community? I mean, you should know who you're in bed with.
Well, this is the funny thing, because it's you know, the left thought that you know, immigration was going to change the politics of the countries in which it occurred, and you know, to their favor. Well, you know, not necessarily, because of course, you know, people come from, you know, not just Islamists and people who are you know, on the far extreme end of practicing that faith, but you know, Muslims of all stripes, people from all sorts of religions. You know, they have traditional values. They believe in their religion. They believe in a traditional form of sexual morality, and they want that imparted to their kids. This is one of the reasons why New South Wales, certainly, I don't know what it's like in Victoria, but you know, the Catholic schools, the low-fee Catholic schools, do very, very well with migrant communities of all faiths because they can afford to get their kids out of the public school system, where a lot of this stuff is really just, you know, turned up to 11.
Well, some of the private schools, though, are...
The private schools are the worst.
So it's not... You know, if you take your kid to an independent school, don't presume that they're not going to be brainwashed in this manner. But you're so right, James. I mean, the left has been broadly right. Migrant communities have overwhelmingly supported leftist parties, but this is where there's an enormous opportunity for Conservatives, and it's an opportunity that's been seized upon in some places, not in Australia by any means, that, yes, most migrants are socially conservative.
Of course they are.
They do not want this stuff fed to their children.